in this walkthrough, today we are going to understand what is New India, why we need a New India, how did this New India come about, and where is New India headed. So, to understand New India, first we have to look at India all through the millennia, across the times. So, India from the past, if you look at it, people who have been coming to India have spoken so greatly about India. They have had such nice things to say about the state of India's prosperity. So, how did India achieve all this prosperity? So, if you look at any civilization, it has three main needs: health, wealth, peace and security. And these three needs in a democratic nation is met by three pillars of democracy. One, which is the executive, you have the legislative which makes the laws, you have the judiciary which delivers justice, makes sure that these laws are not violated, and you have the executive which functions according to this law and make sure that law and order is maintained by the people as they meet all these needs. So, fundamentally it is a government where the people are working and the law, there is a framework for law. And when all of this is working together with values and connected and integrated with a great foundation and infrastructure for the nation in terms of the resources and the ethos on which the way the nation works, then you have laid the foundation for a wonderful good governance, and that will ensure that you have continuous prosperity. This is how India has been prosperous for millennia and millennia. But interestingly, if you look at these triangles of need and of the functions, if you superimpose them, it looks like a star. And when you show all this connectivity, it is nothing but it is like a Sri Yantra of India, which is an arrangement for prosperity. Shri is prosperity, Yantra is engine. So, Shri Yantra actually denotes the prosperity engine for any civilization, and more so for India, because this is an Indian idea of Sri Yantra, has been an Indian idea that people have used for thinking about prosperity, thinking good and making sure that the prosperity happens. And which is why we have arranged this pavilion in the form of a Shri Yantra as well, and we are walking through the outer the infrastructure part of the Shri Yantra. So, which is why we have designed this pavilion itself as such a prosperity engine. So, if you see here, you have the infrastructure, and then you have the functions and the roles, the needs for the civilization, and how they are met with good values and good governance. So, that makes the prosperity engine for India.
India, the land of India, has been a success story across centuries, across millennia, albeit the last couple of 100 years. But overall, it's been a Sone ki Chidiya, not just for India, but for the world at large. What are the key factors that created this prosperity for India across centuries and millennia and across the land? The first point that comes to thought, the first fact is that this land has been fortunate enough, very fortunate, to have 3 harvests per year, what we call as Teen Bog, Bogam, Bogi, the harvest, which this harvest in turn gives abundance, which in turn gives prosperity to the land. So, it was not just the harvest that we had, but the key factor was in the model of the economics, it was the villages that supported the cities. So, it was the Grama that supported the Nagara. Whereas, in the present economic model, what we have is, it is a Nagara, the city which supports the Grama. This is actually a quite unsustainable model. The real sustainable model for this land, for this economy, has been the other way around, where the Grama, the production centers, supported the Nagara, the trade centers. So, we have to get back to that similar model as we go along in our growth, as we evolve. Not only was India abundant in agriculture, but if you look at industrial production of those days, India was also proficient in that, very capable in that. For example, there are products like steel, zinc, copper, and a whole host of products that went from India. For all this, what was needed was large ships, shipping, navigation, which itself comes from the Indian root word Nav, Navy, Navgat, for which standing example, the best example that you can have is the port at Lothal, which is one of the oldest, busiest, geometrically designed ports that you have at Lothal in Gujarat. It's an inland port which speaks about the prowess of Indian navigation to take these products to the world at large. This taking these products to the world at large, what it did was built the Indian coffers. How did it build the Indian coffers? Even though India did not have mines of gold or silver, India had always abundance of gold or silver because it traded in these products, which in turn brought in gold and silver in payments, in trade across the globe. For centuries and millennia, India had 25% of world trade was from India. 25% of GDP for 2 millennia was from India. And because of this, when Europe was coming out of the dark ages, what did they look for first? When Europe was coming into the period of age of Renaissance, what did they look for first? India. Where all did they look for India? They look for India in West Indies, they look for India among the Red Indians, they look for India among the Indonesians, but the key point, the theme was king for India. India was like the proverbial pot at the end of a rainbow. So that was the importance India had. From this we can also understand that the world till a couple of centuries back was very much an India-centric world. And when we now go into the face of new India, we should once again regain back that place of primacy of being, of the world being an India-centric world. That is what we should march towards with knowledge, pride, confidence and capability. India over the last millennium, over the last 1,000 years, has unfortunately seen a series of plunders. Of these plunders, we can broadly classify them into three waves of plunder. The first wave of plunder from near west that happened, starting with Muhammad of Ghori, Ghazni, and all the way up to Nadir Shah. This was immediately followed by a second wave of plunder that was far west, which came over the oceans by the colonial masters, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, and later the English. So that came over the seas. In 1947, when India got freedom, did the waves of plunder stop? Unfortunately, no. Post-independence, what happened was the political class and the business class of India thought that it's better to take the money out of India and put it elsewhere. So there was a third wave of plunder that happened from India for well over 50-60 years of the money being taken out of India. So by this we can see that there are three waves of plunder that India has gone through over the last millennia. What does this tell us? Is that there's been a cycle of prosperity to plunder and then again recovery to prosperity, again a downslide to plunder, and then again slow recovery back to prosperity and plunder. So this has been an endless cycle of India. But what does it say? Every time after a plunder, this land, its people and the fertility of land have had a propensity to generate prosperity once again, and then the prosperity being again plundered and again dropping down and again trying to recover once again with generating prosperity. That means what? This land has a clear propensity to generate wealth. How does it come about? Where does it come about? Is a question that we have to analyze, understand and see. So for this, what we see is we have had prosperity drop down to a state of plunder, poverty and parchedness, and then again rising back to prosperity. So this has been a U-turn. And for all this, if we see, the key for all this is the governance model and as well knowing how to harness the waters of the land, because it is the waters of this land along with the fertile soil and of it giving the 3 harvests per year and the industrious nature of the people with a variety of products that have made this land every time recover back its prosperity.
So the ethos of governance in India for its long sustained success and prosperity has been a model where the people have been at work with values and the government has been overseeing, giving them all the infrastructure, the facilities, the laws, the enablement has been happening, and the people have been working. And this is how it was until the British came. For millennia it was like that. But post independence, when we were faced with a lot of poverty and other needs, immediate needs, we tried to adopt a socialist democratic model where the government started providing for the people and the people started assessing the government's performance. So that is how we flipped over, and from 2014 we are now trying to put India back into a mode where the people again will go to work and the government will provide the facilities and oversee their working. So this is the model with which India had been generating all its prosperity, and that is how India is now trying to forge itself forward. And the model it has chosen for this is collaboration. So, and the beautiful slogan for this that has been coined by the PM is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So, collaboration of all for development of all. So, when we say collaboration, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, it is collaboration at many levels. It is collaboration between the people of India themselves, collaboration between people of India and people of the world, collaboration between people and the government in India, collaboration between the departments within the government in India, collaboration between the state governments and the central government, collaboration between the government of India and the various governments of the world. So only when there is so much of collaboration that can happen, then that is when you see work being done successfully, fruitfully and towards progress. So this is the essence when you say Sabka Saath. The Sabka includes everything across various layers. The idea of this new collaborative form of governance is that the government is trying to limit its role to policy making and creating frameworks for functioning, and it is trying to maximize people's involvement, people's responsibility, people's ownership in generating prosperity for the nation. So which is very beautifully said in saying it is minimizing government's role and it is minimizing government structure and function but maximizing government's role. So if you see, every civilization, there is always a tussle between federalism, should I be separate, and should there be a consortium of all the different units, or should they all be separate, regionalism versus federalism. There is a conflict between centralization, should the central hold the power, or should it be decentralized and should the power be given away to everybody. So the trick is in trying to balance all of these tussles, the clashes, and therefore there is this model cooperative federalism, which is what we've all been trying to work towards from 2014, where the states and the center can collaborate. And the beauty in this is it starts with a bottom-up planning rather than a top-down. It's a bottom-up approach where from the people to the state to the center to the departments, the needs and therefore the planning allocations, everything get they get aggregated upwards, and that is how it then reaches the people further. And with this, what you find is that more power is given to the states. And the government has come up with a new model, the GST model of taxing, whereby almost 50% straight away goes off to the states, and there is more allocation therefore done, because now the states know what they want and they ask and get those allocations. It's more relevant to what they need. And to enable all of this, the infrastructure that the government has put up is Niti Aayog. So Aayog is to organize, and Niti is actually an approach. So the approach of organizing, the method of organizing for good governance is Niti Aayog, which is also incidentally National Institute for Transforming India. So it has a double meaning. One, it's an acronym, and it's also an approach to how India is trying to organize itself to achieve a collaborative government, a cooperative federalism model. And therefore this is the vision of New India, and if we can continue in this mode for a few more years, the seeds have just been sowed and the fence has just been put. Now we have to allow things to grow within this fence. So it has kind of help demarcate and bind the area to make it more fertile. Now we have to grow and sow and grow and make this region fertile with this kind of a governance model. That is what Niti Aayog is all about in the context of when you look at it from a prosperity engine diagram. So the cornerstones for this transformation therefore have been the Niti Aayog, which is to change the governance model, all the steps taken towards that. Then MyGov, through which this integrated good governance can reach people easily and can penetrate up to the last man, so that even the last man in the remotest corner can reach the government, state his needs and get what he needs. And that is then enabled with Digital India, which can take this government doorway, all the way portals up to the last man in the remote village. And then you have Make in India, which is to aggregate all the steps taken towards generating prosperity, generating wealth. So all of that can be aggregated and seen as Make in India, so that India gets back a lion's share in the GDP of the world. And Swachh Bharat is the umbrella philosophy where you keep the nation clean. And when you say clean, it is clean not just in terms of physical health or environment, but it is in terms of mental health, it's in terms of the social health, the economical health, as well as mindset, the social justice related, how do you make it a very equal kind of equal opportunities for everybody, and also environment protection. So everything comes under when you say it is a clean India and it is a healthy India. So that is what the Swachh Bharat as an umbrella program, an umbrella philosophy of making India clean is Swachh Bharat. And Mann Ki Baat is the way this particular government is trying to reach out personally to every individual, to listen to them and to address them immediately, try to be proactive rather than reactive. So if you look at the big picture of governing a nation, so you have the challenges that the government has is how to enable generation of wealth by its people. How should you make people take steps to generate wealth? How should you create enough systems so that whatever is generated can be shared across with everybody, as well as used for maintaining health? How do you get people to take steps to maintain the health? And overall, how everybody put together can secure peace and prosperity in the nation. So this is a challenge for any government, and this government from 2014, if you look at all the schemes that our dear Prime Minister has been announcing every now and then, almost every other day, the various schemes that come out, the large sized, large scale schemes, grand schemes that are coming out, how do you understand them? Then this is the context through which you can easily understand the role that each scheme is playing and its value in the overall development path for the nation. So for making changes to enable wealth creation, there is Make in India, and so many schemes like Bharatmala, Sagarmala, Udan, all the freight corridors, industrial corridors, smart cities, Skill India, Digital India, so many of them. These are just a few of them. These go towards the wealth creation, fundamentally towards wealth creation. Then to make India a Swachh and Swasth Bharat, what are all the steps that the government has taken? You can look at the schemes from that perspective as well. So you have Awas Yojana, where you change the slum-like image of India and give better homes to people. You make it open defecation free, provide for toilets everywhere, Beti Bachao, bring in social justice. Then you have Ujjwala Yojana, where you provide gas so that people do not use firewood, and you make the homes more clean. You have Ujala for LED lights, and you have so many like Saubhagya Yojana, and going on even cleansing of the rivers, and Ayushman Bharat to make sure that even the poorest of the poor can get good health care and Medicare, affordable medicines, soil health, even so you're looking at the health of the natural resources, the land itself, how fertile you can make it, and so on. So fundamentally all of this are going towards making India healthy and strong. And you have peace and secure prosperity has been ensured by two main arms of the nation, defense and diplomacy, headed by two dynamic women leaders, one a firm leader and one a diplomatic leader, both of them strengthening the external interface of India and embracing India with firm hand and love. So love and friendship. So that is what has been helping to secure peace and prosperity, and all of this can be accessed, everything about the government, through MyGov and PM's direct Mann Ki Baat channel with the people, one-on-one channel with the people. So if you look at it in this perspective, then you know what scheme, what is it doing, why has it been brought out, and what is the role it plays in the overall scheme. So all these steps, you can see the results that in the last few years, India's GDP has been, compared to other countries, you can see that the growth in GDP is high, and this is being projected to be sustained for the next few years as well. There are many reports that talk about how India is going to be a superpower in 2050. It's going to be one of the leading nations by the year 2050. And this is the Sri Lakshmi Chakra, which is part of this prosperity engine, where each of these triangles represent the three focus areas and the three functions. So you have focus on wealth, then you have focus on health, and then you have focus on peace and prosperity. Then you have the executive function, then you have the legislative function, and you have the judiciary function. So when all these three functions and the three needs are connected beautifully through good governance and through digital India kind of a far penetrating effective medium and a plumbing line, if you will, and when these work with the 24 values as prescribed by the Ashoka Chakra that you see here, then this sets the model for a good governance, a governance that can lead to prosperity, that can quickly take India from a developing nation to a developed nation.
Every country across times have looked up to icons that they can look up to in turn. Across civilizations, across the land, across the world, we see different icons that have motivated the people to take their lives forward. In that, if you look at the world at large, when France was getting industrialized, what they decided was to have an icon for the famous city, beautiful city of Paris. What do? They built the Eiffel Tower during an expo in Paris. They built the Eiffel Tower, a wonderful artist structure. It's iconic, and it served for over 100 years as being the symbol of not just Paris but France also. Similarly, when this was done using the same technology of metallurgy and engineering, France built the Statue of Liberty for the new land, that is the United States of America. They built and gave them this. So this Statue of Liberty became the icon for the immigrants going west to this new world, to this new land of America. It became a symbol of America. Similarly, in India too, there have been many Vijay Stambha, meaning victory pillars, built by different kingdoms, different kings, different dynasties at different times. Some of the more popular ones are the Vijay Stambha at Chittorgarh at Rajasthan, and the iron pillar, originally a Garda Stambha built at Ujjain, and which was later transported to Mehrali village near Delhi, the famous iron pillar. So in both the world and India have had iconic structures like this. Now when you are stepping into the era of new India, we need similarly again iconic structures for India to relate to, for Indians to relate to and look up to for its purpose and values. In that sequence, if you look at it, the first one to come is the Statue of Unity of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who unified India and gave us the political map of India that we have today. For, if not for Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, this would have been the dismembered shape of the Union of India. This would have been shape. So it was he who gave shape to the land that the country that we call India today so proudly. Similarly, after the fall of the Mughal Empire, it was the Maratha Confederacy that ruled India. and the founder of the Maratha Empire was Chhatrapati Shivaji. So he was a king, a noble person of this land who was an embodiment, a symbol of courage. So a fitting tribute would be a statue for him off the coast of Mumbai, what they are planning, to show what he did for preserving India as a land that we have. So it was after the Mughals, the Marathas ruled India and the British took over India from the Marathas later. Going on, India has been a land of values, India is a land of morals, India is a land of ethics through the ages. And in that, the one person who exemplifies these morals, these values and these ethics character is Sri Ramachandra Murthy, the king of Ayodhya. So, in a befitting manner, the present dispensation, the present government is thinking of coming up with a statue for Rama on the banks of the Sarayu river in Ayodhya. So this will be a statue that will guide the ethos of the land, guide the ethos of the civilization. Like this, icons are required all over India to enthuse the people about India. When we look at the Indian flag, it's also called as Tiranga, three colors, Tiranga, three colors. But more importantly, there's a fourth color in the Indian flag, that is blue. And this blue color, it is symbolized with a wheel, a Dharma Chakra. This chakra, also known as Dharma Chakra, has got 24 spokes to it. What are these 24 spokes? Why 24 spokes? What do these 24 spokes signify? Look at it. Each spoke has a purpose and a name and a significance. For example, one spoke is truthfulness, and another is self-sacrifice. Then the third spoke is selflessness, and the fourth is about self-control. Then gentleness. Like that, one spoke is about mercy, the other is about graciousness. Similarly, another spoke is about humility, another spoke about empathy, another spoke is about sympathy. Like this, there are 24 spokes in the Dharma Chakra, which signify the ethos, the values that India stands for. It's been so beautifully brought out. It's a timeless aspect of the different fine divisions, demarcations of the whole concept of Dharma, which these 24 spokes, the 24 values combined together form for us the concept of Dharma, that is a very human embodiment of being a good human, which in turn collectively make a good nation for us, which is what every time we look up to our flag, proudly we should recognize, recall, recognize these values and try to live up to these values to be a better human and to be a better citizen of this land. Many people at different times have given what the meaning of India is. As now India is entering the era of New India, what does this New India mean? What does this New India signify? What are the components of this New India? That's precisely this aspect that we are trying to bring out in small sayings in our book, Knowing New India, different one of them. Because one is about this New India is all about humanism, being humane. Similarly, all this New India is about having equal ownership of the whole land and looking forward to living this land in a clean and responsible manner with a sense of equality for all. Sabke saath, sabka vikas. Then going on to the next point. What this New India stands for is about striking a balance between tradition and modernity, striking a balance between health and wealth. It's about striking a balance between economy and ecology, an eco model. It's about striking a balance between private and public wealth. It's about striking a balance between the large and small, because there's always a big argument whether large or small. It's striking a balance between the two. Then about friendship and being guarded. It's a balance of the two. Then about India and foreign. Yes, you have to be Indian in approach, same time foreign outlook, global outlook. So it's a balance of the two. Then it's about uniformity and diversity. This land, yes, is a diverse land, but there are factors that bring you together to be uniform. And you have to recognize the both, relish the both, relate to the both, and enjoy the both. government and people, there are two different things. It's the people who in turn make the government, who elect the government and make the government. So it's a balance between this. It's not A versus B, it is A and B in this, government and people. Center and states, it is a confederation of all the states put together that comes to the center, and there should be a cooperation between the two that comes out. Firmness and humanity. Yes, you have to be firm, same time you have to be humane. And self-reliance and collaboration. Again, these are factors. So all these factors, these and more, is what makes up a new India with a balance among all these things. Similarly, here New India is all about a sense of confidence, a sense of dare, to develop, be diverse, friendly and progressive. That's again a concept of New India. That's a feature of New India. What is New India? It's about respectfulness to this diversity, which is innate to this land, and go beyond the word tolerance, because tolerance means only to tolerate something. You don't accept it. Whereas you have to go beyond that tolerance and look for ways you respect each other. That's a big next step, or a step beyond tolerance. You have to go to respect this diversity. That's important. Then the next point. Here we speak about the concept of ownership of India, by India, and let the citizens know that it is theirs. This land, its property, its assets and its future is theirs. And that recognition of being their India and working towards being their India is an important aspect at family level, at society level and at the national level. This new India is all about cooperation. Cooperation between people and government, cooperation between governments, and at multiple level cooperation, at different grades of cooperation. It's all about having a cooperative effort is all this India is about. This new India is about frameworks, where you have policies, guidelines and frameworks. And these frameworks, whether you come up with infrastructure and safeguard the infrastructure as the health, wealth and the happiness of this nation. New India is also about giving a boost to the outlook of India, the upbringing of India globally, in the global view, the global perspective. Then the other is about the confidence of India, so that this land, this civilization, this country of India can look up to itself with pride in the community of nations. New India is all about not being any more ad hoc about decision making, but instead being process driven, because the whole world is being process driven. So this process driven would give you a sense of being non ad hoc. Similarly, New India here is about finding itself in this new 21st century to break free from the image of poverty and corruption and look towards prosperity. New India is all about the different schemes that this land, this governance model, this government of India has brought about, so that each of these schemes has a place in the overall development of the land, and how each of them have contributed collectively to the progress of up to the last man. One of the key aspects of this New India government has been Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, meaning taking everybody together for the development of all, and where government becomes non-intrusive, less and less intrusive. So there should be minimum government, whereas governance should be maximum. That's a wonderful way, because a non-intrusive government which formulates ideas, policies, lets people carry it out themselves. That's the key thing. And in this, the importance to girl child of Beti Bachao, save the girl child, have the girl child educated, because only when a girl child is educated, the whole family becomes educated. That's a key. So you're laying the seed an educated, healthy seed of each individual family, which in turn makes a society healthy and which in turn makes a nation healthy. And coming on to Ayushman Bharat, for which I said healthy, so the health of the people of the nation who cannot afford the modern healthcare. It's one of the largest healthcare schemes of the world where people can afford this health. Importance to girl child. All these aspects, if you see each one of them, is all about how each individual group of people have to be brought together in this overall development of the land, where you have Skill India, Kaushal Bharat, Kushal Bharat. So only if everybody is skilled will they be able to be productive in this land. So India should not have any defective products when they make. Every product should be made of that quality. And an approach of yes, we can, we should do it. We should also inform the people of the good work that's being done by the government and by themselves, so that you can increase awareness among the people, which in turn can improve bonding among the people. So this is the whole effort of New India, where people understand this and live with this, because India is a land of huge democracy, demography, and this huge demography should not be a minus point, but you should use it as a positive point to take India forward in a positive way, and moving away from the chalta hai attitude that has plagued us for decades to her badal sakta hai. Changing is possible and we must make the change happen for a progressive nation, from a developing India to a developed India.